I'm so honored to speak about what authentic joy might mean in this season of anticipation, especially when we're all so desperate for some good news. The big day is not yet here. Jesus has not been born. True and real justice has not yet made its face shine upon this world. And yet, we're told to have joy. This has always been the toughest week of Advent for me. I'm a realist, and realists see pretty clearly all that there is to not be joyful about. I see so much hate in the world, so much distance between ourselves and our neighbors. I see a church who doesn't know how to love its LGBTQ family, and yet, we're told to have joy. We're told to have joy now. Joy doesn't come after Christmas. It doesn't come after the birth of the Redeemer of the world. It comes now. Joy comes in the waiting, in the anticipation. Some days that seems impossible. Joy seems impossible. Some days what we want to do is cry. We want to give up. We want to sit back and we want to allow ourselves to be unhappy. That's okay. I think joy is so hard for me to wrap my head around because for so long I was told that joy and happiness are the same thing, but they're not. We can cry. Sometimes there are things to cry about. We can be upset. Sometimes there are things to be upset about. We don't have to always be happy to maintain joy, but we can always maintain our joy. We can be joyful knowing that all of the destruction and death and injustice does not have the last word. We have a God whose love is bigger than we can imagine. It's bigger than any destruction. God's love is bigger than any church. It's bigger than any book of discipline. God's love is big enough to love each and every single one of us exactly as we are, because of exactly who we are. Now that is something to be joyful about. The thing about joy, though, is that sometimes it's hard to see. It's not always at the front of our mind directing our lives. And so while we wait for the ultimate joy and justice bringer to be born this season, we have to act. We have to actively remind the folks around us, particularly the marginalized, the queer and trans folks, the people of color, the people who can't make ends meet. We have to remind them of the joy that is coursing through our veins. It's not a matter of simply telling them to come to church. They can if they want, but what will really bring and show our joy is when we show them how much we love them. When we show the people around us that they're not alone. When we tell them that they have a place with us, not despite of who they are, but because of who they are. That's what will bring joy. Reaching out to our neighbors, reaching out to the queer and trans folks who have been turned away from the church and telling them that their worth is not determined by a church's acceptance of them. Reaching out to the churches who have turned queer and trans folks away and sharing stories with them about deeply faithful and beloved queer and trans folk. That is where our joy is. Our joy is in the work. It is in the work of ensuring that everyone we cross knows that they are worthy, that they are valid, that they matter, that they are never alone, that they are always, always loved. That's joy. That's also how we change the church and our world. So friends, much love to you all. And may we carry out the rest of this Advent season with a sense of deep, everlasting joy. There's justice in the womb.